Hello, welcome back to Chinese Contenders Season 3. This is week 3, day 1, I guess, of that. It's the Saturday, right? This is the first day.
I think this is Saturday.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I had to get up really early today, so I could be at any day of the week right now. But we did just watch Lucky Future versus BTRG. Now we're gonna have TSL versus Zoo. Two teams kind of at the bottom right. I think TSL is a bit of a weird one, seeing as they got basically pub stomped by the two best teams. So we say best teams, Team CC and I think it was T1W as well. That's who took them 4-0. So they are now 0-8. So is Zenith and Optimism as well. We've not seen too much out of them, right? Though I think the main thing though, Scribe, is that TSL haven't had too many changes, but their adaptability has always been a question of ours.
Yeah, I think that was always the thing, even like last season, right? We're talking about like their DPS players are consistently inconsistent. Like whether like Night God and like Runcheng have been able to pop off or not, and we definitely have these moments where they definitely explode and hit above their pay grade. It kind of feels like they're not always available, and it kind of leaves their new addition DPS in the tank role, right, to do a lot of the heavy lifting. But I think this is one of the things where I'm pretty excited for, because DPS has been adding another factor in terms of not running 3-3 compositions, like giving them that extra edge in terms of the tank role, right? Last game we kind of saw how tanks could be a lot stronger for LF and be the driving force to keeping momentum. I think that's where 666 is actually really good. They have the ability, a lot of the DPS talent, who in situations where they don't need to be the primary focus, I think they do excel a lot better there.
I do think that TSL's biggest worry coming into this match, because we know what Zoo's going to run. They like when they thrive, and it's, not necessarily too often. It's in these dive compositions. It's in these chaotic environments. So this is going to be like a test for 666 Legends tank composition. Are they clean enough to be able to kind of like take whatever Zoo has to throw at them and deal with it properly? Because if they do play into Zoo's hand, you're kind of you're playing into their hand. You're playing into their strengths. Is that something you're necessarily comfortable in doing? Probably. You do have, pretty good players, but you should probably play tanks here. So it'll be interesting to exactly see what TSL we get.
And I think it's a kind of a weird one, right? Because this is almost a backwards litmus test where you see someone like BTRG, they go up against Lucky Future, and that's their litmus test because they're 8-0 and they've gone against two of the bottom teams in the group. But this time TSL, they've had a hard run of it, and now maybe this is their confidence booster that they need coming into week 3.
Yeah, I think a lot of these teams are like that. I think this is especially in the bottom of the table teams. You're going to see this more often, where if it's closely matched together, I think the experience does come in more, where like if you're able to take a punch and like regain your abilities faster, right? I think that these teams will struggle against stronger teams just because these stronger teams, no matter how much they're losing, how many fights they lose, that they always have this last fight in them. I wonder if 666 Legend can start working and at least practicing on this, because if I'm TSL right now, I'm not even thinking so much of like how much do we want to beat Zoo. I'm thinking about what can we really practice, like how do we start like learning from these experiences more, because you just had 2 very tough losses and now you have an opportunity to work on playing from being ahead, right? And I think that's something they're not going to get a lot of practice in, but that's going to be very essential, because they did qualify for Land Story. So that's a big narrative of how good are they on the next patch, right? And if they're a very strong team on the next patch, this all of a sudden becomes that much more important to work on these other things that they don't normally get to work on.
Yeah, first they've got to get the victory here today versus Zoo. Otherwise, they're looking in a really, really tough spot. Not too hard considering what we've seen out of Zoo so far, but yeah, I think I agree with both of you, Volamel and Scribe, that really TSL need to play tanks here, otherwise you're kind of playing into Zoo's hand. They are a very hyper-aggressive team. But we do have our first map available. It will be Control, and it will be Lijiang Tower. And now I'll be passing it over to our 2 casters for the second game, who will be Rapture and Kenobi. And the 2 boys, they're a bit of a boy, right? They're a couple of boys on the cast, right? And they're going to do good, and they're going to get you through.
Thanks, Blake. I'm glad I'm in your boy stable. I really appreciate
We're
that.
lads,
Welcome
Rapture.
back.
We're lads.
Yeah, I'll take it. I like
I'll
being
take
a
being a
boy.
lad.
We'll be lads. Thank you all for joining us. It is our second match of the day for week 3, day 1 of Overwatch Contenders China. English coverage brought to you by Broadcast.gg. I'm Rapture here with Kenobi the lad. I guess you want to be called lad. We're going to Lijiang Tower. You ready to get into it?
I'm ready to get into it. And I really like what the Dusk was talking about kind of with 666 Legend kind of in this position where no longer the underdog, but really the favorite in this matchup. So look for them to come out and kind of assert their dominance a little bit because they had the two roughest games so far in their season and they're fighting for that last playoff spot. Here it looks like they're going to be running what their bread and butter is. Goats against goats, so these huge 3-3 compositions. It looks like Zenith's optimism is going to switch to that as well. They're going to play to what 666 Legend wants. Usually they play more of this dive style, but here they're just going to try and match fire with fire.
Yep, right now both teams, two big forces cramming right into each other. Of course, going to be running these compositions that are super tanky and have high health pools, armor, and barrier. Yeah, both of these teams coming into this match have taken losses against two teams that are in the upper echelon of the group, right? So it still is somewhat hard coming into this to be able to figure out exactly who has the edge. With TSL, they might have the composure, they might have the experience needed, especially coming off Land Story, to have that edge over Zoo.
And I think here you see really how comfortable 666 Legend is at running this composition, while Zenith Optimism maybe just not as much. You see there the use of the bubbles here from Nikon very, very well, getting a lot of charge as well. And you see the discrepancy as well, already at a Graviton, where Zelta on the other side, only 65% to hit.
And there's the Graviton catching Zenith right at that choke point. There's nowhere for them to run. Perfectly placed textbook Graviton from the Night God himself. TSL, another very convincing team fight win.
And now it's going to be very hard for Zenith of Optimism to even come and recontest this point. 666 Legend, I assume they're going to just stay at this chokehold right here. Just put the pressure and don't give up space for Zenith of Optimism. Zenith of Optimism really have to wait for that Graviton from Zelta before they can even really engage or do anything. And here you have that the Transcendence from Yagami to negate any damage that would be coming through.
And of course, TSL, I mean, they're sitting on this Earth Shatter from DPS, so the second Zeus steps in, they're gonna get hit by it. There it is. They all fall like dominoes, and Earth Shatter, and then charging right into the Zenyatta, putting him in the corner. Now you're gonna be in timeout there, Omnic. You're gonna write down another convincing win here for TSL.
And that's just the bread and butter for 666 Legend there. The stun shatter combo works every time. Unfortunately, Ion there with the Transcendence a little bit too late, and then got charged away from the fight. Great presence of mind from DPS there. And now with 70% left, 666 Legend have a very easy time really to hold this. That's a grab, a solo grab only onto Night God.
Oh, I see. I guess they were trying to catch that front line of TSL out of position, but then they go overextend. They're still caught in the ramen spot, and Umbra punishes with a 2.5k on that self-destruct, and Zoo again sent back to spawn with very little to show for it.
And really a little bit of an interesting grab there coming out. You tried to get onto the wall and try to get some people, but the rest of 666 Legend just wasn't there, so you only got Night God. Again, the Transcendence really well timed from Yagami, and it looks like it's just going to be a stall at this point.
Oh, no.
It's just the Hammond. He's going to go down, and that's going to be very difficult for Zenith Optimism to even try and recontest.
Yeah, I mean, you lose your main tank essentially coming, or not even like one of your alternate tanks coming into the fight. I mean, that's such a huge loss. Then immediately losing your Lucio right after. There was almost no way for Zoo to really take this fight long term after those two big losses, losing your Hammond and Lucio so early. And TSL taking the first phase of Lijiang Tower convincingly 100-0.
So talked about it before a little bit, why the interesting factor that Zenith of Optimism was coming out on this Goats composition, this 3-3 heavy tanks, because it's really what 666 Legend wants to play. If 666 Legend, you see that composition on the other side and you're like, okay, you're going to be running tanks. We know how to run tanks. Tanks is our bread and butter. So I would like to see maybe Zenith of Optimism switch it up like they're going to do here. Run something a little bit more different. Run this Widowmaker and this Pharah. Bring something else to the table, because if you're going to play tanks versus 666 Legend, it's a battle you're going to end up losing.
Yeah, I think this is smart from Zoo. Like, they are anticipating TSL to still stick with their tanky composition and run Goats. And so they're going to go with the Widowmaker, who can put that long range, hit scan damage down, and then the long range projectile damage from the Zarya, and now they have more mobile tanks. So they have rotation potential here. The problem is that they got to hit their shots. If Zelta and Horse are not getting these kills, TSL essentially wins for free. There's so much health, you can't be wasting damage opportunities here, Kenobi. And TSL is going to take it slow and steady against Zoo as they push up onto the first point.
Slow and steady is right, and I like this rotation coming out from Zoo, using that white room to really negate any damage coming from Pharah, because Pharah really has a rough time getting those direct rockets in with no splash anymore. It's very hard for her to get any value, and they take that white room rotation and they're able to get back onto the point. Very nice and clean rotations coming out here from 666 Legend, and they're going to be rewarded with the point capture.
Yeah, and this is looking as smooth as butter for TSL right here, picking up easy kills in the perimeter of the point itself, and Zoo really just kind of scattered right here. TSL picking up the point and getting staggered kills, so they're prolonging the time into the next fight as well.
Here I'd like to see maybe Widowmaker switched off a little bit. It's a pick that you really are just working on picks here. You're trying to get those one shots and get that pick and go in. Unfortunately though, with the nature of 3-3, it's going to be very hard through all of that shielding and all of that health that you're going to be having on the other side to really get one of those picks off. Maybe switch to something like a Brigade to give yourself some more sustain on the point. But here, Zelta very close towards that barrage, and that could be what turns this fight.
Oh, and Zelta looking to swoosh into the window, but thinks differently and wait it out, but they have waited long enough, and now the attention of Umber has been caught. Umber knows that the Pharah is waiting in the window. Zelta looking for a way in, but DPS also blocking off the other entryway. There it is, the barrage goes down, immediately absorbed there by the Diva Umbra, and then completely caught out in the air by Night God. Zelta is completely shut down, no kills off that barrage. Now Night God's sitting on an ultimate they don't even have to use to win this fight. A clean, easy win for 666 yet again. Deja vu out here, Kenobi. And Zenith of Optimism now with about 35% to go here, somehow retake this point.
Another perfectly timed trance there from Yagami there, and it looks like Zenith of Optimism is going to be switching over to a more 3-3 composition. You're bringing out the Zarya, bringing out the Brigitte. I like this. The Widow wasn't really finding the value, and Zelta there, unfortunately, with this barrage, they knew it was coming. So I really like this switch in here, but it's going to take a lot because there is this Graviton here, and with 82%, this is last fight here for Zenith of Optimism.
Yeah, I mean, the second Zoo walks in, they're going to get hit by the grab again, but Runecheng is down, so they won't have a stun to work off of. And DPS will have an Earthshadow. They're going to have to just use it without the Bree stun. But I mean, at this point, I think that's very doable for TSL. That being said, the Winston right now, DP is going on gets the kill on DPS. Night God still patiently waiting. Nice job waiting for the D-Mech, and then Nanhai goes down immediately. Nanhai goes down immediately for Zoo. And this is just overtime ticking away. 666 Legend, a huge player advantage on the point. It's just the Winston remaining here for Zoo. And now they have the Lucio jumping on Lazy. Gets in there, immediately melted. DPS gets the kill. And there it is, a 2-0 victory here for TSL on Lijiang Tower.
And TSL, you take those any days of the week if you are them because of the way that Zenith of Optimism was kind of picking into your team composition. The desk talked about how Zenith of Optimism really likes to play more of a dive composition. There you saw it on the second map, but you brought out the Pharah and the Widowmaker. And while Widowmaker on Gardens does have her moments against that heavy tank composition, it's going to be very hard for you to get any picks. So maybe bring out something like a Sombra where you can hack the Diva, make sure that you're enabling your Pharah just a little bit more because there was very rough for them once it happened. You could have maybe had the hack so that Zelta, when he barraged, didn't have the Diva blanketing the entire thing. So would have liked to have seen some changes there or some quicker changes really from Zoo, but it looks like 666 Legend is going to take this by some very nice tank play coming out from them.
Yep, already a very solid start for TSL. Zoo not showing up to bat just yet. Let's see if they can get into this sooner rather than later as we move on to map 2. But first, we got to go to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. More Overwatch Contenders China Week 3, Day 1 coming your way here at Broadcast.gg on the other side of this break.
Don't get left behind on the road is where I can find some peace of mind and make my way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road.
Welcome back, everybody. It is time for map number 2 between TSL and Zoo. It's time to go to Numbani for our hybrid matchup here. It is a 1-0 lead for TSL as they just took Lijiang Tower 2-0 and Kenobi. We're going into Numbani. I am excited. How about you?
I am also excited. I don't know if
All
it's
right.
going to live up to the hype of the Numbani from the last match, because that map was an interesting map. We saw double bastions all the way across the sky on this map, and I don't know if we're going to be seeing the same thing here. BTRG is one of those teams where we know to sort of flex it up a bit. Lucky Future was really the one who came out on top, but here, really what I'm going to be looking out for is if there's going to be any hit scan play. We see sometimes Soldier is one of those heroes on this map specifically that we see a lot of just because of that high ground and your ability to rotate. We see a lot of Orisa compositions as well, so I wonder if 666 Legend will deviate at all from their 3-3 compositions, or if they're going to run something more standard to this type of map. For the side of Zenith of Optimism, I want to see them start to run more divey and scrappy compositions, because that's really what they thrive in. They thrive in chaos, like Valmo said on the desk. So if they're running something like that, I definitely see them making it a little bit better.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, that Zoo really, at times does rely on that chaos, but they can also get lost in the sauce. They have the sauce at times, they can get lost in that same sauce. And that, Zenith of Optimism is also one of those teams here in China that the longer, matches go on, they kind of can fall apart at the seams, and chaos definitely can exasperate that problem a little bit. We'll see how they fare on 666 Legends Numbani defense. This is a map we saw Bastion last time. We might see Bastion again here. We're seeing the Orisa defensive hold on the high ground with the McCree. Of course, we're in China, so we're going to see McCree a lot. Often DPS pick here, and somehow TSL's tanks are so strong. They have DPS talking in chat and playing in the game at the same time. The guy is literally a multitasking legend.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, they're all, and we're already seeing changes too. Zoo changing over to throw on the Hanzo and now Farah.
So I actually really like this change from Zenith of Optimism here. They're going to be switching to a more shield breaky composition. You have that Hanzo and you have that Farah as well. A lot of shield break coming out from them with that Hanzo Storm Arrow and just the direct rockets you have from Farah. So it's going to be really on the Ryongcheng here as this hyper carry. That's a massive boot there from Zelta to get them off the high ground. But it's really going to be on Ryongcheng here to try and be that hyper carry and get Zelta out of the sky.
That's the thing, though, is that even though that boot got them off, they can just put the Orisa shield right at that corner and peek. So really, the TSL actually wasn't put in a horrible position, and now you're seeing it's paid off a little bit. Zoo doesn't have any good sight lines to take care of anyone behind the Orisa shield or anyone hiding like where this McCree is, Runchang, along with the Zenyatta. Great shots, helping DMEC non-hide here, and Zoo is just unable to follow up on that boot. They're losing bodies left and right, and they're losing time, too. They've already lost 1 minute and 30 seconds without a single tick on the point. So 666 Legend right now in full control.
While they did get that boot, you're right, they didn't really capitalize on it. They let them reset and kind of get back into their groove for 666 Legend from Zenith of Optimism, but they are having some ultimates close to their name. They have this Dragon Strike, which can create a lot of space and maybe zone out 666 Legend a little bit, but 666 Legend coming out of some ultimates of their own, but definitely look out for this Hanzo.
Yep, and now 666 back upstairs, but you can see Zoo is on the other side of the corner, still waiting very patiently, but the problem with this patient play is that Zoo is not building up any ult charge. They still don't have an ult to work with here. They're finally getting Dragon Strike. They're going to just let it go and cut off this route that they knew 666 Legend was going to fall back on. It actually pays off. A great read there by the Hanzo there, Horse, and Zoo able to get some kills, and now it's a 5v4 situation for Zoo. TSL still not out of it just yet. They got to demech this D.Va, but Donhai is nano boosted. A big sleep as Zelda was letting that barrage go. Now there's a self-destruct at the point, and Zelda out that sleep comboed into the self-destruct gets taken out. Zoo losing their advantage that they had off those 2 initial kills. Excuse me. And 666 Legend coming out, weathering the storm, and still holding on strong, but Zoo is able to get 1/3 of the point.
And I'd like to see MCC maybe just rein it back up a little bit. You are going up against a team composition really that you can just get blown up in, and you really want to have someone there with you because he's going in, getting blown up almost immediately with all the CC available to the enemy team. I'd like to see him rein it back a little bit and coordinate with the rest of his team, because going in and losing your main tank that early is very detrimental.
And there's the Winston dive in. MCC goes in immediately, has the Primal Rage, the pop there, but really just kind of building ult charge for TSL and using a Primal Rage, I guess, to get Zoo on the point, but there's barely anyone there. Ian does find the Orisa, but that's just one barrier that they're, they can no longer hide behind. TSL still has some cover to take, and they still have Night God, but Night God is being pressured into a corner by themselves, but stays alive in a 1v2 situation, and that gives some time to distract Horse a little while longer. So Yagami, Umbra, and Sober get kills, despite Morehouse going down. So TSL still in control of the point here, Kenobi. And with about 20 seconds on the clock, Zoo have no ultimates to work with this final fight.
And that was a little bit of an interesting decision for the entirety of the team, basically, to just go and chase that Brigade. To really not what you want to do. It's going to take a lot of time off, and you really didn't gain any value from it. And now for 666 Legend, you're right. They have one ultimate. Zenith officers don't have any, but they're getting close to that Valkyrie. That might be what they need.
I mean, really, the second that Zenith Option steps in too far, you know that High Noon's going to be used. But Runechang does get knocked off the high ground, so a lot of potential loss there. Takes a direct hit, 120 damage right there. Morehouse find DPS. Night God, though, swinging away here. Zenith of Optimism, their tanks can't get in because Night God just swinging away. Non-High gets DMAC with the help of Runechang, and then Umber taking out Non-High. There it is, the High Noon to pick off Lazy at the tail end of the fight. And just like that, another textbook fight from TSL, just eviscerating Zoo there, and they take a first complete point A hold here on Numbani.
The ideas from Zoo coming out are actually not that bad. I don't hate them. They're pretty decent, you know, switching over towards a more shield breaky comp when you're up against something like Orisa. It's just the execution on some of these picks from Zenith Optimism hasn't been there, unfortunately. You know, you have those dives that are getting really just stopped from MCC by the rest of 666 Legend, and 666 Legend, to their credit, switched over to a more counter-divey comp themselves. So I really like what I saw from Zenith of Optimism, understanding what types of comps they want to run. It's just the execution has to be a little bit tighter.
Yeah, I would almost say that's an understatement. Execution has to be tighter. Zoo is hesitating a lot going to these fights. They're wasting so much time kind of like doing that like poking style before a fight goes, but they're not getting a lot of ult charge. So like their strat should be paying off at least some way with some ult charge. They're not getting that. They're taking too long to get in. The fights aren't going fast, but they spend more time outside of the fights than in them. And now all that, after that, all 4 minutes been burned out.
It almost feels like Zenith of Optimism is playing more just a 6-1. It's more of like one team of 6 players, whereas 666 Legend is playing as just basically more cohesive. It seems like everyone's out for them in itself. Zenith of Optimism. You see MCC diving in alone. You see the backline kind of doing what they want to do. Zelta is trying his best to stay towards his team, but then, you know, if the rest of his team is low, then Lazy has to just fly everywhere. So it's very difficult for team cohesion, for Zenith of Optimism to keep everyone alive. So I want to see them tighten that up a bit as well, or else 666 Legend might just walk all over.
Yeah, I think they've already kind of wiped the floor with Zoo already. They're wiping their feet at the door, but still keeping their shoes on, so a little bit disrespectful there. I think Zoo right now just trying to look for ways to get some leverage, and they're picking 2 characters that give them a lot of leverage, potentially Doomfist and Sombra for sure. A lot of crowd control, but they got to keep the damage coming too. They have mobility, they have crowd control, but then they all make it come together in one full sweet package. We'll see. Already a 5v5 situation between both teams, but Umbra D-meching Non-High with the help of Night God there. The Non-High going down immediately. A big advantage now is Zenith Optimism. They've lost 2 of their big crowd control characters. They've lost Doomfist and the Jivo, can't shoulder check anymore. So TSL, I mean, can just walk right onto the point. You can see it happening right now. They just mosey on down onto the payload, and Zoo really can't stop them.
Yeah, I mean, this is quick and clean for 666 Legend here, punishing Non-High for being out of position, and now it's just a trickle fight. There is the backline. Doomfist coming in. The Minefield is going to try and zone them off. Non-High gets demeched again, and now it's just a matter of time rapture before 666 Legend just takes this point.
And Runechang beats Zelta in the EMP game, gets the EMP out. Zelta goes down to the self-destruct, can't even build theirs, and just like that, it's over before you know it. TSL takes Numbani convincingly, and now they're up 2-0.
I feel like we started this match like 20 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. It's been very quick that we've been seeing this map go from just the full hold there from 666 Legend and Zenith of Optimism. Really, again, I would like to see them clean up a little bit more the dives. It seems like everyone's just out there for themselves and not playing as a team, whereas 666 Legend, you see a lot more cohesion coming out from them, especially in their tank play. So I'd like to see a little bit of change there.
Yeah, it was short, but I don't know if it was sweet. Let's see what the desk has to say about it. Blank, Volumel, and Scribe are on the desk to take it away. Blank, take it from me, please.
But you didn't expect to see us so soon, right? Yeah, that was a quick one. Pretty swift, all in all. I mean, the funny thing is, like, I have about half a page of notes, and I'm not using A4. I'm using like A5 right now. So you can see how that went. Literally, I actually only have written down for the first game that they 100-0'd them twice. And And really, the rest just comes down to just poor execution on the part of Zoo. I'm not sure what they were going for, right, Volama? Like, and then DPS is just having a great time. He's having a field day.
100%. Like he had the really clutch charge off of the trans.
Oh
like,
yeah, that
timed
was
it really
cool.
well. Like he's kind of flexing a little bit, showing that he has. Yeah. And again, I think they're riding off of a high for qualifying for the LAN finals for Land Story Cup. Again, their first kind of LAN performance, so it's a big achievement for them. And they're coming into this match against Zoo, and they're feeling good. They're feeling comfortable, and they very obviously look it.
It's lackadaisious. They've done it quite lackadaciously, just like dropping on the high ground. The Doomfist is dead. Come Numbani, and it's weird for me to be speaking about Numbani, seeing as I basically don't remember much of Lijiang. Like it was over in a flash of an eye. But we come to Numbani, right? And I think what we were discussing here, Scribe, was that they had this composition that goes versus the comp that TSL are running, right? Which is just heavy shield break. TSL running the Orisa. In all sense of the word, this composition should work.
Yeah, it's just about the lack of commitment that comes in. Looking at their DPS heroes, a lot of Fair, a lot of Hanzo, it seems more like they were trying to go for a very big, strong pick style play. But at the same time, this is kind of where the weakness in Control becomes more evident on something like Hybrid. In Control, we just never saw them together. They never really engaged together. They seemed a lot of attack from all angles, trying to overwhelm them. And that doesn't really work against a more defensive-minded composition, right? And that's exactly what happened here. They got a lot of these big picks, but they weren't, like, for example, they knocked Runchang off high ground and immediately kind of just like left him back there as if he no longer existed on that.
He's done.
But like looking at their tank play, we saw their tanks are very coordinated. They're always playing together, but they're not targeting the right heroes. They don't have a great understanding of like how do we close out these fights even more. And they're not really capitalizing on the fact of this inconsistency of Night God and Runchang, right? These players who, if you continue to apply pressure, eventually they might not win every fight. I think you can kind of like stem and like go off from there. They're just giving them free shot angles. It seems like they're positioning on support, like not a lot of line of sight for Ana, and you kind of just hope that you won the fight already. And that's kind of the part I don't really like about it, is that they have these advantages, but they're still playing footsies at the end of it. They need to dive, they need to commit, because I think these teams, even though they don't have the mechanical skill, I think it's now become a mental barrier where they never feel like they can win a fight. And when you're a dive only team and you have the mentality you can't win a fight, I mean, like, why play dive? Why not play something slower?
It's kind of self-defeatist in that sense where, yeah, I can easily see, that this team going 0-8, now 0-9, now 0-10, like it's not looking good. Again, they're an open division team playing in Contenders. It's been, I'm sure, a great learning experience.
Yeah.
But we still see, Muahor shooting these fadeaway dragon strikes when that's such a big win condition for this team composition, where this Orisa comp plays so tightly together that it's a great zoning tool to kind of push people away or actually kill them, that we're using it on a fight that we're kind of losing and retreating from, and we're just throwing it out there into the world.
Yeah, it's there. It's just in existence now. It's just floating through, right? It's just a lot of tough moments for them. Right? They lose 2 players, right? Well, they lose 2 players. TSL is a 4-man. They have the loosest win condition in the world. They drop down bongos and just hope for the bloody best, right? You get Rally, you get Deadeye, and apparently somehow they win off that. And just walk us through that fight. It's just, I don't know what happened there. It was crazy.
Well, I will say that, like, Orisa kind of came around the corner with like all of her abilities up, and while Zoo had like positional advantage, I do think that TSL did have the resources available to turn the fight, and they did so.
Yeah. These compositions are tough to play against, especially as a dive composition, because even looking at the weaknesses and strengths of it, you don't have a lot of burst damage still on board, right? Because they use the Dragon Strike already. Like Vera, still kind of like weirdly non-committal in terms of going in. And I think that's kind of the big issue here, is that like when you play a dive composition into something like Briggs and like Orisa, which is really hard to burst down, and then you have the consistent like in combat healing that Brigitte offers, that's kind of like the thing that really offsets you, right? All of a sudden that you're trying to fight and you're fighting a losing fight, you don't have a lot of burst damage, and also they're buying enough time for their closer spawns, right, to really come back and reinforce it. So I would like to see like Zoo, take this and understand that like what exactly why they lost. They didn't commit hard enough. They don't have that ability. They didn't have the the killer instinct to really get ahead. And I want to see them next map, even if they do lose, even they still get like turned into the machine of TSL's like a 3-3 composition. I still want to see them engage. I still want to see them push it, because TSL is not one of those teams that is notoriously good for taking a hit on the chin and going forward. I would almost expect if they lose that one fight for that confidence to start like eroding and for Zoo to get back into it.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird, right? Because I think you mentioned non-committal, and that's exactly what I saw from this team. It's like a couple of people have been in a relationship for a few months, and one of and TSL's like, "Do you want to move in yet?" And then Zoo's like, "I'm not too sure yet. I'm just gonna hang around on the point for a little while. I'm not gonna go in as of yet." And then you get the fadeaway dragons, and then they never see each other ever again. But we do have our next map up. It's Horizon Lunar Colony. So we haven't actually seen this map today, so it should be good fun. We did see Hanamura before, so we're going to change pace. Instead of going to Japan, we'll be going to the moon instead. So we're going to pass this back over the casters. Rapture Kenobi, take it away.
Thanks so much, Blank. Welcome back, everyone, to Overwatch Contenders China Season 3, 2018, Week 3, Day 1. We're in the land of weird comps and full stomps out here. And it's a 2-0, as is tradition here in Contenders China. TSL is up 2-0 up against Zoo as we move into our third map of the day, or at least for this match. This Horizon Lunar Colony. Kenobi, any expectations for this one?
So I really like what the desk was talking about with Zoo being committal, and that's really what I'm going to be looking out for. Are their dives really going out to the back line, making sure that they are, playing that comp to the best of their abilities? Whereas 666 Legend here, this comp is interesting coming out from them. They're going to be running
what did I just say? Weird comps
and full stomps. You're right. That's some nice wordplay. So with this composition from 666 Legend, this is just basically, to me, this is really a solo queue composition. The interesting thing here is they're going to have the Bastion shielded by DPS on this Orisa, and Zenith of Optimism is going to have a bit of a hard time diving up onto this Bastion. They might look to maybe scout this out first and then switch back onto something more divey, bursty, because with this composition, you don't really have a lot of burst, and right now, Lijiang is just going to melt them here.
Oh, here's the meat grind. Yeah. Look at that. They just use the Orisa halt to keep everyone in place and pull them back out from the staircase, and then the Bastion just starts melting. Yeah, that's, well, right. I mean, that just speaks for itself there, Kenobi.
Yeah, I would like Zenith of Optimism now to switch onto something. They can keep the dive tanks, but I really want them to switch over to maybe a Genji, have the ability, or some shield break for yourself, have the ability to get that Discord Orb onto the Bastion and then burst him, because right now Bastion is really what's hindering your comp here. The pull into the Bastion spam is just so difficult to get through. And on top of that, you have a Torbjorn on the other side with that turret. So basically everywhere you go right now, there's just spam coming at you.
Honestly, like, this is where TSL flourishes, right? Because normally TSL is very willing against stronger teams to go weird compositions to try and get them into the fight, and that actually ends up like shooting themselves in the foot because these weird compositions don't work. But against a team like Zoo, these compositions are great because Zoo can't figure out what the response is, and they're not strong enough individually to kind of just beat down these players and separate them on their own. TSL running this comp right now is pretty much exactly like, this is the environment that they love, to have an opportunity to run comps like these. I think that's why they're so convincing already.
And now they're going to be running a different composition. They're switching over to more of a shield bursty composition. Again, bringing out the Pharah, bringing out the Hanzo, and you already see it's paying dividends because Lijiang has to reposition here, going very low. The shield is going to come back. It's going to get bursted down pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, wow. Zoo literally cannot break through this. There's just too much damage from this Bastion behind the barrier. They have the auto turret ready to go if they dive in. They have the Zenyatta with the Discord, a biotic grenade from the Ana from Sober. Zoo can barely move at all and barely even peek against this composition, which is hard because, Pharah has to be able to peek. Hanzo has to be able to peek because they're on projectile. They got to be able to get some corners here, and there's no way for them to hold any sight lines.
You see how scared really Zoo is, and there goes the dive actually, but he's going to get melted almost immediately. Actually ends up getting down, but still the damage was done. Lazy's gonna go down to Night God, and this is just, it's looking pretty dire here for Zenith of Optimism. They look so scared. You see how many abilities and cooldowns they're just wasting at the choker. You saw there from MCC diving into the next cubby and then using his shield as well. You lose those cooldowns and have to wait another 30 seconds for that, or 13 seconds rather, for that shield to come back. So it's just a very difficult time right now for Zenith of Optimism to try and break through this wall. And speaking of walls, the ultimate wall for 666 Legend is 6 high.
Oh, and Runchang finds 2, gets both the Pharah and the Mercy. I wouldn't be surprised if that was using the Orisa Halt, because DPS has been throwing those Orisa Halts into the air looking for the Pharah, so I wouldn't be surprised that's how they got it. And DPS has been on point with those orbs so far. And
DPS is like the point guard right now. DPS is the point guard of this team. Just, you know, laying it up for our man Lijiang here on this Bastion. It's like, don't worry, bro. I'll get these halts. Then you'll be able to just shoot through them, and it's going to be easy. We're going to get that huge double kill. Now for Zenith of Optimism, they're getting some ultimates. They have this Dragon Strike, probably going to go to the high ground here.
Oh, that was
just
misses.
Okay.
He missed the stationary targets, so 666 is just gonna, you know, I guess chill on that. And there's a sleep onto Runchang. There's an opportunity for Zoo to go in, but they lose MCC. Now a self-destruct comes from above. Moyho is able to sneak in a double kill with the barrage, and the Night Guard finds Moyho on the other side there. Zoo gets some kills, unable to survive throughout it. And then, yeah, the Bastion was nanoed after they missed the Dragon Strike, so 666 Legend, again, another fight win.
And Zoo here gonna bring out the fast composition here. Just get to the point, try and stall as best they can with the Doomfist Tracer and the Hammond there. It might not be enough here. The Primal is there, but it's gonna be a very difficult fight here for Zenith of Optimism.
Oh, and Night God playing Splatoon out here. There's nowhere on the point you can go without taking damage thanks to that Torb ult. And not only that, but MCC had burned Primal Rage just to touch the point, so they're not gonna be able to survive against a self-destruct. Yep, they go down. Runchang using tank mode to take out Lazy. And 666, I mean, the double turret strategy out here, it's China time. And overtime ticking away as 666 just throttling Zoo for a point A hold yet again.
Do we consider this mean a little bit, Rapture? Like, is this are we getting to the point where it's a little bit mean? This is a tad bit that the 666 Legend is doing this?
Face off against a composition like this. This is a legendary, rare, ancient comp.
I mean, 666 Legend. There you go.
This is a legendary composition. They honestly though, TSL is kind of like they had some kind of deal with the devil, and they're pulling out these compositions to win. Like that's where their name comes from.
And I think just Zenith of Optimism really just look lost here. Again, with, you know, we talked about it on this non-committal. We see them using cooldowns at chokeholds just to survive basically against this composition, completely caught off guard with what 666 Legend was bringing to them. And now on the defense, it looks like they're going to be bringing out a Junkrat for themselves. Maybe not actually. They're going to figure out what they're going to run here. Maybe some Bastion of their own. We don't know because Zenith of Optimism looks like they're actually just going to run the same thing. You know, they're going to take what 666 Legend showed. Wow. They're like, okay, we can run the same thing. Run this back. We're going to full hold you this time.
Copy paste. You made this? I made this.
I made this.
So now it's all right. Let's see if the Zoo variation can work up. And I honestly though, I think TSL is anticipating this. They're like, all right, what happens if Zoo runs what we just ran? So we're gonna run a dive composition slightly with a Winston and a Diva, but they're gonna have a barrier to try and mitigate some of the turret damage and a Sombra to try and take out the static opposition with an EMP, and then they have Biotic and the Lucio for speed. So honestly, I think TSL is like, this is perfect. They know Zoo is going to run the composition that they just ran because it worked so convincingly, and now they're going to run a composition that seems to almost counter that.
It's like when you're in comp and you full hold someone, and then you say, and then you're like, you tell your teams like, hey, they're really upset. They're going to try and cheese us with what we just ran. Let's run the counter. And it seems like here, 666 Legend, they're going to get the scout out so they know now what they're up against. Maybe go back and switch themselves, or they're just going to try and maybe get back to the point. Maybe get this hack onto the Bastion. Look for the coordinated dive to come in.
Yep, they're going to use the Hammond to pile drive alongside the Winston. The Bastion goes up perfectly. Oh, but Zelta and MCC picking up 2 with a turret and the Orisa kill. And TSL's only able to get down Zelta's turret. So I mean that looked pretty promising once they got Moorhorse into the air. I mean he got some air there, Kenobi. He got some air, but it wasn't enough for TSL to win the fight.
Yeah, how many points do you think that is in Tony Hawk Pro Skater, that air time that he got?
And that was like he could have fit in like a couple kick flips for sure.
Yeah, I think so. But again, for 666 Legend, I like what they did there. They were waiting for the Sombra. Sombra just didn't get the hack. You see it again. Lijiang here is going to be trying to hack the Bastion. You see the Bastion trying to scout out for him, and the dive's going to come in right after.
Yep,
And
try
the hack
again.
is perfect. It's
and
perfect.
there it is. It works that time. If you don't succeed, try again. And 666 only needed one more time, one more attempt to make it work. They get the bash into the air off that hack, melt them completely, and now there's no spam damage really to stop TSL from walking in. You can see now Morihorse is moving over to the Tracer here. Instead of staying on the Bastion, they want to try and recontest as soon as possible. But will the Tracer have enough damage to fight off against TSL? A big amount of kills come out from the tank line from Zoo. And that was huge. And once Runchang went down, there was no way to hack Zoo's tanks. And 666 Legend, they are caught out. They aren't able to get any portion of the point at all.
Bustio!
Oh no.
Bustio, dude. He's out here. Okay, well, and he's out.
I'm sorry.
Just like that. It's just like an August kiss, just out the window. And he's
Yeah, albino rhino. You don't see him very often. You got to make sure they don't run away. You catch a nice picture. There we go. Sober, kicking off Zelta, an August kiss. Or why August? EMP coming down from the somber Runchang, and it hits perfectly. Zoo getting caught up in the crossfire out here, and they've lost both their Tracer and Winston. No way to prolong the fight. TSL, they take the series with that third map win. They're up 3-0, and now they just gotta pick up and clean up their plate here. Can they get a fourth map and get all 4 maps? We'll find out. But at this point, they have won the series. They are up 3-0.
I think I meant Summer's Kiss instead of August Kiss. Summer's Kiss sounds better in my head than when I said it there, but it looks like 666 Legend just understands really how to play. I mean, for Zoo, you kind of run what you were going to, play against. It's like, oh yeah, we can run this. And it worked for a while, but you're running it against the team that basically ran it on you in full health. They're going to know how to do it. You saw at the end there, the hack was perfectly executed on the Bastion, then the blow up from the Hammond. It was a really actually cool pickup. You were mentioning it, how it seems like 666 Legend knew what they were going to be running. So it's really cool that they were able to counter the composition that they basically brought to the table, and now it looks like 666 Legend are pretty close to getting that 4-0.
Yeah, absolutely. TSL is in full control here, really, right? Like, I mean, once you start like essentially knowing what the other team's going to run, like you have them, by the horns, essentially, like you have them around the neck, like you have their collar, you have the leash, because you know they're going to be running something. You can control the pace of the game, you can control compositions, but at the same time, I mean, Zoo could have really at almost any opportunity changed their compositions, because they did have the offensive Swans. So I don't know. We're gonna go.
I mean, they look lost. Yeah. They look. That's just really what it seems to be the name of the game so far for Zoo. They look like they are lost and they don't really know what they want to be playing here. We saw really, I mean, how 666 Legend figured out a composition. It seems like when they're picking comps, they know the story behind it and what they want to do. When it's Zoo, they're kind of just like, we don't know what to do. We're scared to, dive onto we're non-committal, as they were saying on the desk. It's a very differentiation and confidence. I think you see 666 Legend coming in from that high of qualifying for Land Story, where Zoo hasn't won a map this entire season yet. Hopefully, maybe they'll bring it back at a 3-1, but it seems very unlikely so far.
We'll see. One more break and then one more map for match number 2. Don't go anywhere. More of TSL versus Zoo is coming your way here on Broadcast.gg.
How we roll, man. Some rock, some win, some 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 roll, man. Some rock, some win,
Take my hand, hold it tight. Promise that you'll never let me go, even when we fight. Wrap my arm around you, girl. I promise I won't ever let you go. I'm holding on for life. I gotta know how you feel about me. So many different emotions in my body. I gotta know what you do on our love, 'cause I'm not planning on giving you up. I think what we got going on is something special, yeah. I want to wake up with you by my side.
Welcome back, everybody, to our fourth and final map of the second match of the day here at Week 3, Day 1 of Overwatch Contenders China Season 3 2018. I'm Rapture, still here with my main man, the big squeeze, the lad himself, Kenobi, for our fourth map, which will be Dorado. Kenobi, we've seen 3 from both of these teams, TSL and Zoo. TSL's up 3-0. I mean, what can Zoo do to get back into this one going into Dorado?
Hopefully see the whole map, Rapture. That would be a start.
Yes,
you
that
know,
would be
get
nice.
get through a couple of points. Don't get full held again. Just make sure that you're getting through at least 1 point. You know, take some pride in what you've been doing, because here it's been a little bit rough for them in how they've been playing. And now going into Dorado, I expect them. I don't know what to expect from them, because it seems like they've been running just whatever to try and counter TSL. They haven't been playing really to their strengths. They've been playing more to what TSL is bringing them, which is just playing into TSL's hands. TSL's hands is, oh, you want to play this? We know how to play against this, and we're just going to counter you. So I want to see them maybe play more to their strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. And it seems like they're trying to make maybe a strength pick here, or just trying to get some more play time for a certain player. Cloudy moving in and swapping in for MCC. So a slight change there in the tank line for Zoo for this fourth and final map. On the TSL side of things, this is a composition that we actually saw on Dorado, or Route 66 for them last weekend, where they're running the double sniper Roadhog Orisa composition. This is TSL. Again, this is one of those compositions that TSL, when they're losing, might go to try and get themselves back into it, and it might not necessarily work. But against Zoo, when they're already in the lead, this could be it. This could be it, Chief. But in the meantime, Horse finding Night God and now playing very aggressively, going to move right up, right above that payload to cut off TSL at their knees. And so far, Zoo is actually in control. A nice sleep there, and then the hack onto the Roadhog, going to make it easy. That pork tenderloin's going to go down very smooth. And now TSL, I mean, for the first time, actually facing somewhat of a loss, but still, as Zoo seemed like they're winning a fight, but they still actually can't win it.
Cloudy went really aggressive there, maybe too over aggressive, going basically into the spawn and costing him his life there. And this composition from 666 Legend is basically a pick composition. If you can get those picks like Lijiang gets onto Horse there, you can really that's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to get those picks and then continue to roll the point with your tanks on the payload.
Yeah, this is TSL. I mean, they're playing again in their comfort zone right here. These long sight lines that Dorado provides, along with this double sniper composition, and then hide everybody else behind the Orisa shields, paying off in dividends here for TSL. Hanzo picking up the... Wow, look at that. Runcheng demeching and killing Non-High with one shot there. I mean, I guess the spread helps, but still, Night God and finding Zelta there. TSL is just steamrolling Zoo right now.
Yeah, and for TSL, they've been doing a great job of getting the picks that they need. Sometimes with this double sniper composition, it's really just as easy as hitting those shots. I'd like to see a little bit more of Cloudy trying to use that defense matrix for those Hanzo airs specifically, because they've been getting through a lot. You don't really have a lot of damage mitigation with this composition because of the Hammond, instead of taking something like a Reinhardt or a Winston.
Oh, and there's the Dragon Strike, and then the Nano Boost onto Night God, and that completely bursts down Lazy as they're way too close for comfort. Only pick they're gonna get, but I mean, honestly, everyone else for Zoo, they're either dead or running away in retreat. So at that point, the Nano Boost certainly paying off there, and then the stagger kill onto non-high, and they're gonna be able to get Cloudy as well. Both tanks staggered there for the Zoo of Optimism, or Zenith of Optimism. 2 tanks, that is. I guess Zoo of Optimism at this point might be more fun to be hanging out in. The TSL,
they need to be optimistic. They need to be optimistic. I think that's something that they definitely should be trying to keep their hang their hat on, really. And Zenith of Optimism is going to be moving more to a 3-3 composition here with that Winston. I like this. You have the ability to dive onto that backline if you want, because the double snipers here so far have just been doing unmitigated damage the entire time.
That is the weirdest self-destruct position I've ever seen on this map.
Got a kill.
Putting it right below that ledge, above the ground, and actually finds DPS. You're right. Sober also gets caught up by non-high, and then Night God, bashed back a little bit here, separated from the payload, has to fall back with the rest of the team, but takes too long to do so. They're going to be taken out by non-high, and then Cloudy can be routing Yagami on their retreat path as well. Even again, Umbra not fast enough to get away from Cloudy and the rest of the tank line. So Zoo in control here. TSL, that being said, they not control the payload, but they still have a lot of time to work with.
And say whatever you want about Zenith of Optimism throughout this entire series. They make the switches that pay off in the end. They see that there was the double sniper on the other side. They switch over to something more divey with those tanks, bring out the Winston as well. And then the double sniper can't get as much value as it was before. But 666 Legend going to be doing the same, switching over to a 3-3 composition as well. So fight fire with fire. 666 Legend very comfortable in these 3-3 tank formations.
Oh, slept.
Sleep.
DPS in Primal Rage, taking a nap there. Let's see if 666 can pick up the slack now that their Winston's down for a moment. Now rejoining the fight here. Non-high on the Primal Rage of their own, but Night God just gets out of dodge. Lazy finding Runchang, and now Zelta is separated from the rest of their team, so both teams should be able to and actually Zoo is able to rejoin with their Zarya, so TSL unable to break them up. Zoo looking a bit more composed than we've actually seen them previously here.
She's at 3 health.
Yeah, and DPS literally surviving the skin of their teeth. Sober going down to Moyhorse. Night God separated from the rest of their squad, having a hard time building up charges. They can't hold the front line with anyone else to protect them. And Lazy will shield bash Night God for their troubles, and then finds Runchang. This Brigitte is going off right now. And Zoo now reducing 666 Legend to below 2 minutes.
And we're seeing some life from Zenith of Optimism. We saw there how they, we talked about on the desk, how they like to play more dive compositions. Here's the Graviton just get DPS, but that's probably enough for them to stall a little bit longer. Zenith of Optimism finally playing to their strengths here. You love to see it even at this moment in time where they're down 3-0.
Yeah, exactly. This is, I mean, you can't, the only one that really stops you from winning at this point is yourself. Don't give up, even if it's the last map. Because maybe you want to be able to screw up TSL's map differential here, which, could pay off in the long run in that playoff run. Umbra with the downtown self-destruct on Zelta, and the DPS finding Lazy, making it a 64 situation here. And Zenith of Optimism completely cut off from their Zenyatta. You can see Night God walling off Zenith of Optimism, Zenyatta there from the rest of the team. Moyhorse has very little room to work with, and Night God has the Graviton ready to go, but probably won't even have to burn here. Probably just waiting out for this Transcendence. Even if they do want to use it, there it is. Transcendence used, or burnt out. Graviton used, keeps the Brigade at the wall, gets the kills. Horse also going down here, and 666 in control, but Zenith, they still have some bodies in the point here, Kenobi. They're delaying this capture as long as they possibly can.
And it looks like it is just going to be a matter of formality here. They are going to get this point, but they did, you're right, managed to milk a lot of time off that clock. 30 seconds is probably the hardest that 666 Legend has had to fight for a point this entire time, so good job on them. But now with 2 minutes, 666 Legend going to look to walk through this point. I like that they're going to take this aggressive stance here, taking away all this space. Look, they get the stagger onto Lazy, get the stagger onto Cloudy, and now they're just going to their spawn, playing super aggressive. I love to see this type of play, especially when running these heavy tank compositions with the ults that you can build up against this tanky composition of Zenith of Optimism. It's a really good thing.
Yeah, I mean, TSL has 1 minute and 30 seconds to walk in. They have 4 ultimates to work with. opposing Zoo's just one ultimate. That's really a problem for Zoo most all the time, is they're down an ult charge every step of the way. And there's the Graviton from Night Guard, scoops up to 666 Legend with the 5v3 advantage here. And they're just going to walk all over Zenith of Optimism as they had very little to work with. Non-high, again, burning Primal Rage, and very little opportunity to stay alive longer than that. TSL cleaning up the tank line, the rest of Zoo, and now they have a minute to walk into this checkpoint, and they're just gonna spawn camp Zoo, making it almost impossible for them to go onto the point directly, forcing a right side rotation. But that might actually be enough time. No, someone texted it just in time. It's gonna be the Hammond getting there non-high before the point got captured. 45 seconds now remaining for TSL. All these ultimates being burned here in a last-ditch effort to stay alive, and no kills coming out for Zoo. In fact, 666 Legends coming out on top despite all those ultimates burned. Now Zelda's about to get Graviton. This could be it. The Graviton comes down, but there's no one alive to get the actual follow-up there. And Night God picking up kills, gets rid of Cloudy, and then Zelda going down to Yagami. TSL wiping up Zoo and finishes the match.
Night God is putting the rest of Zoo in the microwave right now with this Zarya. So high charge, above 80 charge most of the time that we've been on his POV. And there he even was able to lap the enemy Zarya in Graviton Surge charge. So he's just doing such a good job. They're putting a lot of resources into him because in these 3-3 compositions, really, once that Zarya gets to the high charge, it's basically your DPS. So you want to give a lot of resources to it. And it was paid off there, as it seems like Night God was able to... Not even seems like he did lap the enemy Zarya in ult charge.
No, I mean, yeah, across the board, TSL has been outdoing Zoo on ultimate charge like this entire set. I mean, remember on Numbani, on first point A, offensive attempt, Zoo could barely build any ult charge. I think they had like one ult after 2 minutes, and then it was a Dragon Strike that pushed TSL onto the ground, and then TSL still won the fight. TSL is so egregiously ahead in ult charge that even if they lose fights, they can immediately turn the tide just by hitting Q.
Yeah, and that's really, you definitely don't want to be in that position for Zoo. But for Zoo, you did manage to stall 666 Legend to get under a minute in their time bank. It's not much, but at this point, if you're Zoo, especially after the way Horizon Lunar Colony went, I assume you would take that. You would take managing to stall. You won a couple of fights. You have something to hang your hat on for these next fights. But here for 666 Legend, it looks like they're going to be sticking to what they run on offense here with this Orisa and this triple tank composition here. But they're going to be running with the Orisa and the Roadhog, the ball and chain combo with the Diva, and then you're going to be looking for Rucheng here to try and get some picks on that Widowmaker.
And here we go, Zoo. Let's see how far they can get. Can they get past the fountain, which has cursed so many teams here in Contenders China? Or will TSL convincingly take this set 4-0? We'll find out here on the next episode of Broadcast.gg. Thank you all for tuning in with us. Remember, we still have a third match after this one, so don't go anywhere. We have another one coming your way that'll feature Flag Gaming, which should be hype. TSL and Zenith of Optimism, though, this fight has transitioned pretty much towards this choke point area, as it always does, and TSL giving Zenith of Optimism a little room to work with here, just hiding, really much playing on their own terms, playing at their own pace, hiding behind the Orisa shield right at the high ground, letting Zenith move that payload up. I mean, sure, they have a little bit of cover, but TSL's in full control of the ground here. And Runcheng, yeah, nice pick, gets the kill onto Lazy, and almost takes out the Omnic Ion as well. Zoo having trouble even, holding these sight lines here.
And I think here for Zenith of Optimism, they have this interesting triple DPS composition with the solo tank Winston. They're trying to do a lot of damage, but you see that the Tracer here hasn't really done much. Tries to duel with Yagami, and Yagami sends him back to spawn. Moon Horse is going to go down there, and it just looks like Cloudy is going to go down as well. Follow him. Maybe? There we go. Okay, got him. Just waited a little bit.
All right, there we go. Finally. Better late than never. Umbra and Night Guard getting on the board again. And pretty much every time they try, Zenith Optimism tries to get some kind of sightline, they get picked immediately from anyone hiding behind that Orisa shield. So I mean, so much time being taken up here by TSL.
And Runcheng has been doing a really good job so far of trying to deal with Zelta on that Pharah. Zelta hasn't really gotten the picks he needed. Is close to that barrage, but I definitely expect for Umbra to be there, ready to eat all of it when it comes.
And 2 minutes and change on the clock left here, Kenobi. Night God whiffs the hook and wishes they had it, but the barrage just gets completely nullified there by Umbra. And now there's a nano boost on Night God. Gets pinned, though, by the Reinhardt, but only about 200 HP. Oh! Still a lot of room to work with. Night God easily picks up non-high on the other side of that pin. And once again, 666 Legend sending Zoo back to the drawing board.
And like I said, very obvious there that the barrage was going to come out. Umbra willing and ready. The Transcendence a little bit too late there for the side of Zoo, because you shouldn't really, in a world where you have Transcendence, be bursted down by a diva of all things while you're in barrage.
Yeah, you hate to see that kind of thing happen here. And now Night God letting the meat grinder go, but they were all distracted by Umbra's self-destruct and pretty much couldn't even see that whole meat grinder go. Got stunned and put to the ground, but Umbra gets the 2 kills they need, helps snowball TSL to a fight win yet again. And now Zoo, their match lives are on the line here, Kenobi. They only have a minute and 12 seconds remaining to go.
And not any ultimates really just yet. I mean, the closest one they really have is the rally. For really ultimates that you're going to want to have, Cloudy is going to have to farm up this Graviton very, very quickly here, or else it's going to be disastrous for them. It's really what they need. That's their win condition currently, because they don't really have much else with this composition. And Cloudy dying that early is definitely not the way to go about that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when Cloudy and Nanhai both going down so early, there's no one to protect the support line. And look who goes down right after that, the support line of Zoo. Now 40 seconds left on the clock, and TSL is in full control. That's such an understatement here. Zoo, and once again, Zoo, no ultimates going into this next fight.
It's going to be very difficult for Zenith Optimism to even come back onto this point and try and contest. It has to be a disastrous mistake here from 666 Legend for Zoo to even have a chance to take this past point A.
Yeah, oh, there we go. Hooked, line, and sinker. That diva goes down abruptly. And now there's a self-destruct, but it actually doesn't find Pater. Runcheng will get the kill into Nanhai. Now we're going to have a little bit of a, well, not a little bit, a full Transcendence here coming off from the Zenyatta, but it's a bit late. Ian not there in time. Zelta and Moyahorse, though, do get some kills, but Runcheng has a lot of shots going unmitigated here. Moyahorse, though, they're putting their team on their back. This could be enough for Zoo to actually get to this checkpoint in time. Can Runcheng hold on by themselves and get these kills? 666 Legend, no! Runcheng has to fall back and retreat. Zoo is still alive.
The Hammond is here to try and just stall the best he can. Spin to win, they can't get to him. They do get to him finally, and it looks like Zoo is able to take that first point A just with some good play from Moorhorse, really getting into that back line and doing a lot of damage on the Brigitte. Really, if you're a Zenyatta, the last thing you want to see is a Brigitte in your face. And then they were able to push that point. But here, and going into this next point, they can try and snowball. They have the ultimates. That's a solo grab onto that Widowmaker, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was a Graviton from below. Oh, Zelta went to 3 HP, still stays alive. All right, so Zeus seeing a little bit of momentum here. Literally the last possible moment, Zeus deciding to step up and, kind of put the screws to TSL and forcing Night God to now move over to the Doomfist.
There is some, he's going to switch over to the Doomfist, and there is some life that we're seeing from Zoo here. Definitely try and look out for this Shatter Self-Destruct combo. It's a deadly combo.
Oh, no!
Okay. Well, there is, so you do have that ability to, that's kind of the basic diva spot on this map where you try to hit it over the wall. There, the calculator might just be that bad, and unfortunately, Night God's going to go down there.
There's literally so much spaghetti happening in this match right now. There's tomato sauce all over the place. Another self-destruct goes down, doesn't find Pater. Now we got a Transcendence coming down. Rally as well from the Brigitte Mui Horse. About a minute and change left on the clock here. No kills thanks to these support ultimates. So just going to wait him out, and now Zelta trying to take out the opposing diva before they can get back out, and still unable to do so. Umbra is actually pulling Zelta all the way from the rest of their team. I think Zelta's like, oh wait, I've been baited here, sir. Self-destruct goes out, actually does catch Agami. All right, Zoo still having their feet under their shoulders here, still able to hold on to the payload, and they're close within 3 meters. Graviton goes down there, and it will actually connect. Zoo's still alive off that Graviton. Umber gets put down, connect, and then shut down by Moyhorse. Zelta finds Sober. DPS trying to stay alive, but there's no one there to help him out or heal. And Zoo hits yet another checkpoint.
You never expect the self-destruct to come from straight behind you, but that's what happened. Zelta, it looked like a it looked like a self-destruct that just wasn't going to hit anything, but it does get Yagami, and once that Zenyatta is dead, you lose a lot of damage with that Discord. So good play there from Zelta to get that kill, and now running into this this third point rather, there is a possibility that Zenith of Optimism wins this with more time than 666 Legend, but 666 Legend here bringing out Night God on the Pharah, gonna do a lot of damage to this tank-heavy lineup that doesn't really have anything to deal with them besides the diva.
And Night God now, unmitigated damage from above. I mean, really, Zoo has to worry about the Hammond and the Diva running wild on them. So I mean, they really have very little time to shoot on this far. But now Night Guard is taking some damage, has to fall back momentarily, but now swooping right in to try and pick up some kills. Helps get rid of Zelta, forces the Zenyatta Ian to fall back, and then Umbra picks up the kill. Zoo now has 1 minute remaining here, Kenobi, to finish off the map. But I mean, they've had some momentum. They've got some kind of speed, some fire under their bottoms. Can they finish off the map?
That stagger was so good from Triple Six Legend, and milking at least 30 seconds off the clock. And now, like I said before, they might have had a chance where they were going to end with more time than Triple Six Legend. They're going to have basically 1 fight or 2 left to even try and end at all. They really have to rely here on the shatter coming out from Nanhai here.
And Umbra has a self-destruct though that could just literally stop anything, especially if Nanhai's focusing on an Earth Shatter. They won't have a shield up in time, but the shield is there to stop the self-destruct. Good patience there from Nanhai. There goes the Earth Shatter though. Doesn't look like it got too many clean hits though, but Nanhai is able to pick up DPS. I believe that was the only character that really got hit. Finishes him off with a Fire Strike. Lazy gets rid of Yagami. Triple Six Legends still have ultimates to get right back into this though. I mean, they have a Rally and a Valkyrie. And if Zelta Zelta does get the kill. A great mid-air shot onto Night God. And Runchain goes down. Another sniper shot from Nanhai. 2 in a row in these fire strikes. Although Sober does pick up Night God. Night God might be able to get back into this. They don't have a barrage, and they still have Zelta in the air. Umbra finds Ian. Overtime taken away. Someone has to touch the payload. And TSL, they are able to get there just in time, but they're super low on players. Cloudy looking to melt this Diva, who's the one who was able to touch it. Umbra now goes down. They've lost their mech. The Mercy off as well. Right click's coming out. Oh, but they're stunned. They're actually frozen there by the Mei Runchain, but Runchain gets melted themselves against that heat coming out from Zoo.
Hey.
Zoo is able to finish off the map. You all thought it was over. It's not over until it is over. Kenobi, we're going to another attempt.
I said at the start of the game what I wanted to see was I wanted to see Zoo complete the map, and there they finally do it. They're going to have a minute. They actually have a chance with a minute against a minute and 23 seconds. There's not that lot of discrepancy between there, so you have basically probably 1 fight with those 23 seconds, so they can definitely try and bring this towards a win themselves, which would be something that I would have never expected going into this match.
Well, it's a Zoo out here. It's a bunch of wild beasts. And
it is quite this game. If I had to define this game, it'd be a Zoo. Probably that's a good way to put it. There's just so many things that I've seen that I just can't unsee.
I mean, here's the thing: is that TSL, they have a cage. Zoo has broken out of that cage. Let's see if TSL can rein him back in a little bit. Maybe it's feeding time. We'll see. I mean, Zoo right now, animals are their strongest when their backs are against the corner, so maybe Zoo, this is where they're like, oh, we're stepping it up because we have to, and TSL has been unable to match it, but TSL might be also giving it to him a little bit here, kind of giving them a little more room that they probably should be affording them. Either way though, Zoo, we take those. Zoo will take that. They're only down, like you said, 23 seconds.
Yeah, and it looks like Zoo here is actually going to be caught a little bit off guard by what Triple Six Legend is going to bring here. Triple Six Legend is going to take this fight early to try and milk as much pressure as they can, or as much time off the clock as they can. They don't see him just yet. Look for this pile driver to hit right onto the payload and onto the backline. Doesn't really hit that much.
I actually don't even know what he was looking for there, but 3 members of Zoo converge on him immediately. Still, DPS is able to get out, and we'll probably talk in chat before they rejoin the fight there. Night God gets put down by Zelta, and then Zelta moving on forward here, trying to look for some more ult charge. A really quick barrage would be exactly what Zoo needs to get to this checkpoint, because remember, they only have 30 seconds left of the clock to get to this checkpoint. And remember, it did take them quite a while to finally get it, almost 4 minutes to finish it off in the first attempt. So Triple Six still in control here, despite not really having anyone there. Once they get back onto the payload, they can stop this right here and there, Kenobi.
But you saw the value really that they got, that Triple Six Legend got out of taking that early fight. They milked a lot of time off that clock, and now only 10 seconds left. They just got it behind this bridge. DPS is going to go in with the Prowl Driver, but Ion is down. That's a huge pick.
Now Moihorse almost has a pulse bomb here. Certainly gonna be looking for a tank to stick that on. Just throws it in the middle of the fight and whips completely here. And then Zelta letting that, I think, looking for the barrage, gets cut down immediately by Umbra. Overtime ticks away. TSL with the full team wipe there. Nanhai and Ian were the only ones alive, but they weren't on the payload.
You hate to see it. Yeah, hate to see it. He hits the barrage, and then the Diva just right behind him, back of the head. He's gone. And I mean, they did push it a little bit farther. I would like to see Zoo here take the same type of fight that TSL took. Take that early fight where their goal is to just take as much time off the clock as possible, because they took that early fight, and then really after 30 seconds, they know that they only have one fight left. They can recontest. Even so, even if in a hypothetical world where 666 Legend loses that second fight, you still probably get one more contestant. So taking these early fights in these types of moments is something I'd really like to see Zoo do.
Yeah, but at this point, it might be a bit too late. I don't know.
It's never too late, Rapture. It's never.
I guess that's true. Overwatch is one of those games where as long as you have overtime, I mean, you could still win. So I mean, it is really not over for them technically. But I mean, what leverage can they really get? 666 is like almost running like this kind of comp that Zoo has seen time and time again, and Zoo still can't respond to it.
But Zoo here is actually, if 666 Legend stays with this composition, Zoo is going to be bringing out an anti-Ghost composition, actually. Oh, actually, no, he is going to be switching over to... They went back... Oh, switching over to the Sombra. Okay, so they're going to try a more of a poke composition here. Not sure. I would have liked to have seen the Doofus, especially if 666 Legend is bringing out this 3-3 composition. Really go for that anti-Ghost.
Yep, I guess I'm anti-goats in the real world. I guess you have to poison their grass or something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure how many natural predators goats have these days. Cloudy finds the kill onto Yagami. Night God going super low at 9 HP down to 0. Beep boop. Cloudy finds the kill onto Night God. So Zoo, stopping TSL for the time being. Now TSL, they have less than a minute now, and they're realizing that they're gonna go right back, not wasting any time.
And a lot of that was just based off of Cloudy's early pick onto Yagami there. Once it was a 5v6, very good presence of mind from Zoo to just get in and dive. And you cannot die there as Cloudy. You cannot have Yagami get that revenge kill.
No, you really can't afford that. And once Cloudy goes down, I mean, that stops pretty much Zoo holding TSL off, because the Widowmaker was really that wall for TSL. But now TSL can just walk right in. They are literally doing just that, right through the front door, demecking non-high, getting the kill. The Brigade has nowhere to run. Horse goes down as well. TSL just stomping on them. And Zenith of Optimism, it looks like they might be losing yet another 4 maps here at Kenobi, as this match is over and done with. Just 0.89 meters to go. And there it is. It's finally all they have written. TSL takes the set 4-0.
And you said it's feeding time. I think it is. It is truly feeding time right now, Rapture, with what happened to Zoo there. Unfortunately, they're going to go down to 0-12. Some bright spots there on that last map, but just the mistakes and the lack of commitment and coordination from the first two, just a little bit too big of a hill to overcome for Zoo. And TSL is finally going to get their first win as the favorites and not the underdogs.
Hey, first win.
First win.
Yay, first win. Well, a lot to talk about. 4 maps, though, so maybe not too much. We'll see. Blank, Volmel, and Scribe. Let's go over to Blank and Friends to see what the desk has to say.
Which really sets me up there. He says there's a lot to talk about now. Like, as there was 4 maps in the space of a very, very short amount of time. This goes over to YouTube. It's like a 30-minute video. I mean, yeah, we went over to the last couple of maps here. Horizon Lunar Colony. You got Dorado to finish. 2 maps we've not seen before, so at least it's exciting from a map perspective. But yeah, there was some interesting stuff happened. And again, just a lack of understanding of comps all in all here. We got the Bastion Torbjorn comp that, again, the Mist Dragon as well. God,
stationary targets, kind of whiffed it. I don't know if they were leading the shot or what, but they had the right idea. It was in the right general direction, that it was in the area of the Orisa and the Bastion. But just this rough, like very rigid, like we're gonna spam out the Orisa shield and then we go from there. But they never really got to break the Orisa, so they never checked off the first tick, and they were like, okay, well, I guess we'll defend now. And then that happened. That's the kind of match. That's the match for me at the moment.
Scribe hit the nail on the head though for me, right? Because he says, and I think this is more from a technical side of things, is that TSL, they set up that win condition fairly nicely, right? You've got the Sombra in the back, she hacks the Bastion, DPS goes in the Hammond. He gets not the perfect swing the first time, but the second time he hits it.
Yeah, I think he hits quite a few people, allows them to kind of get the hack off without like a lot of interruption there. So that's kind of your win condition and what you need to be doing. But I feel like that's kind of that was kind of the issue with how they played. I guess how Zoo necessarily played, because they do a lot of these like slow rotations where they try to get out of line of sight of both of the turrets, but then once they get into that middle ground, they've lost a few people on the way. They're not very decisive about resetting. They're just kind of waiting there, like allowing them to generate ultimate charge in these corridors, and that's not exactly how you want to fight this. So something Zoo definitely could do better, and I think that we saw a little bit about what they could be a little bit more in Dorado when they start winning these fights, right? They are able to generate this snowball. They continuously press forward. They get these advantages, and once they're able to create this mismatch, right, TSL starts struggling. They start getting into these really bad positions where now TSL isn't the one picking the good fights, but it feels like this more is like you have to. It seems like a mental block to get over, because once they switched to like triple DPS, it looked a little bit better because now instead of the tank line being like solely responsible for engaging, you have a lot more sources of damage available. And I'm gonna be quite honest, like single tank for the purposes of Zoo almost does the same thing, because when we looked at their tank line before, they were just like glued together at the hip, and they're not really like making other decisions besides, like, oh, let's just stay with the tanks together, stay with them. It's either they're being totally disconnected, not even like interacting with each other, or they're stuck too close together. So having that third DPS option spaces the field a little more. It gives you a little more value for your tanks going in, because you're only sacrificing one and still having a lot of damage to follow up with it.
And I kind of wonder if Horizon would have looked different if we weren't actually taken to Horizon. Horizon A specifically is very rotation heavy. If you do decide to run the kind of Reinhardt 3-3 composition that we normally see there, where you rotate up, pressure them off the high ground, and then can force the fight on the point. But with the Bastion, I can see how that throws people for a loop, because it's then not about pressuring the Bastion so much as it is just rotating to the point and forcing them to unsiege and come to you. At that point, then you can start to make your rotations, but that kind of throws you for a loop, and it's this little thing that you can throw at people and ask them if they can answer the question, and if they can't, then you obviously win pretty handedly. So that was really interesting that they took TSL to Horizon specifically, because I think, to Scribe's point, if they were to run the triple DPS on Hanamura, I think that actually would have worked out in their favor. They tend to favor these traditional dive compositions. If Nanhai can play the Winston, you can see point A, the Widowmaker position on the arch. The dive happens. It's scrappy. You have respawn. You can take that fight. Same thing happens in B. You have multiple angles to come in from. You can take, you can start to send a tracer maybe behind enemy lines and just cause a little bit of chaos and maybe snowball. But Horizon just didn't feel like a strong map choice for me.
No, it's it was fairly strange, to say the least. And I'm just throwing it back to the whole thing where, I mean, you have TSL, they have that they know what they want to do, they know how they want to counter this out, and then you see how Zoo play it, and they go from so many different angles, trying to do different things each and every time, because I don't think they were sure what worked, and I think they were literally just trying out every single different avenue that they could go for. But let's go back over to Dorado now. And the interesting thing is Zoo, the triple DPS. Cloudy moves over from main tank over to the Widowmaker and actually hits some decent shots. And this is one thing we brought up in the pregame, though, is the run chain looks a lot more inconsistent on this Widowmaker.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, that's their calling card right now for TSL, and I think will be for the foreseeable future, is how much room can DPS buy for Rungchang and to really, Rungchang and Night God to, eventually through a numbers game do enough damage, right? Because
eventually.
Yeah, because we have seen Runchang pop up on McCree as well, and he definitely has this ability. It's just that, I think against stronger opponents, it's going to be tough because you're not going to have as many open opportunities, right? Like when you miss shots, it becomes all of a sudden more impactful. If you know that you miss 2 shots, you're instantly dead. So, I mean, it kind of covers up the weaknesses. We did see a lot of perspective, so we did see kind of Runchang hit some pretty good shots, but miss some pretty easy ones also, and that doesn't fly against any other opponent. So hopefully he recognizes this, puts a little more time in terms of getting more consistent, but he didn't have to this game. I mean, this was DPS and Umbra, especially. We didn't even touch about how good he's looked, right? He's definitely activating DPS more as a tank player. So I think they have a pretty good core of what needs to really happen moving forward, and looking to next patch, which I think a lot of these teams are doing, especially teams that don't match up super well in the tank compositions. Look to next patch. I think next patch is going to be a really good testing ground for TSL, and I'm excited to see what they look like.
Well, that's gonna be it for this game. Hopefully DVS a little bit more happy. We do see him on Twitter and all that. The guy speaks fluent English. He's just been tweeting about how he's been a bit upset about his games, but you know what? He could do a happy tweet today,
Wins
right?
on the
Like
board.
it's good. Yeah, he got some wins on the board today. Four map wins to be precise, which is quite a few for him. But yeah, that is the end of this game versus Zoo versus TSL. TSL taking this away 4-0. We will be back with one final match, which will be Flag versus Restart, which should be a little bit closer, hopefully. Flag, obviously, with their star player Jason as well, to watch out for. But that'll be back in about probably 10 minutes time. But until then, stick around, because like I said, we will be back very, very soon.